Welcome back to Toy Art. My name is Zach. I'm your host, and today we're going to talk about Jack the King Kirby. And if you don't know who Jack the King Kirby is, that's totally fine. I'm going to break him down, who he is. I'm going to break him down. I'm going to break down who he is, how important he is to the comics world. And you know what? If you haven't heard of him, you wouldn't be the last person, which is an absolute crying shame because everything behind me, this guy, all of this, he's responsible for. All of these Marvel comics, a lot of DC comics, even some crazy independent work. He's responsible for their creations. And over the years, Stan Lee has taken all the credit for that. So, we finally have his first action figure, which is Bananas from NECA. I'm going to break that down, so let's get into it. Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, about damn time. It is so cool to have a Jack Kirby figure. And the immense amount of inspiration that I take as an artist from Jack Kirby is ridiculous. So, but I've already kind of said that. So let's get into the figure itself. From NECA, Eastman and Laird, paying tribute to the king himself, Jack Kirby. So let's open it up. It's too bad there wasn't like, you see a few Jack Kirby self-portraits out there, and like it would have been nice to have one of those on the packaging so people, because you've got this beautiful portrait of him on the side here, right? And as well as like the great comic on the back, which is like so on brand for all of these. Like the only thing that I think this is missing is like Kirby's ratted up drawing board. If you haven't seen that yet, you should definitely take a look at it and give it a Google search. He used the same drawing board for most of his career, and it's so dirty and beat up, and more than that, it's loved, right? Because that's where, God, it's hard to think of like one drawing board is where X-Men, Avengers, all of these like heroes, villains, Doctor Doom, the Fantastic Four, where all of these were created. And this is the man who created them, by far. So, again, I'm going to get off my high horse, and we'll talk about that later in the video, more of my thoughts on that. So what we have here with our friend Jack, we've got a sketchbook with a turtle on it, a pencil with a little eraser. We've got a minion of sorts in kind of like classic kind of Kirby-looking armor. I have no idea what the minion's all about, but it has his gun. Then we have like the classic action figure, bunch o' hands. But it's a great figure, man. It's so just nice to have Jack Kirby, right? Like the next person on my list would... Holy shit. The next person on my list would absolutely be Mobius. If we're making action figures of famous artists, if you don't know who Mobius is, that's fine. But you need to read. Mobius is not talked about anywhere near as much as he should be, and it's the same with Jack Kirby. And I feel like there's a whole gang of artists that just don't get their due, as much as writers do these days. Whoops! Jeebus, almost broke. This is the one thing that drives me nuts about NECA, is like these double-wrapped, stupid freaking... should cut away from myself, too, like an adult, but like... Stupid quadruple wrapped, and I cut myself open. That's nice. That's good. We'll be fine. All right, so let's get into it. one of the great things about this is that we're not just using Jack Kirby's image without any kind of endorsement or just using it how we want. This was used with permission granted by the Rosalind Kirby Trust, and that was from 2023. If you want to learn more about Jack Kirby, the kirbymuseum.org is the way to go. And if you want to donate, we are going to be using the Kirby's Hero Program, the Hero Initiative. So heroinitiative.org. A couple things to note is the sculpt was done by Richard Force. Paint was Jeff Trapp and Mike Puzo. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your names right, friends. Prototypes, Roger Fernandez. Packaging was done by Travis Hasback, and Kevin Eastman did all the illustrations. So honestly, that's really cool. Like, I was kind of just like kind of quipping that like yeah, you know, I wish they had some actual pictures of Jack Kirby so he's more knowable. But they've got so much information right on the bottom of this packaging, and I'm going to put this in the information at the end, but I want everyone to be able to see it for a few moments. Also, one other thing on this packaging is how great the zip tone looks in color. And that's all that shading on his face and that they did right there with that Kevin Eastman did. So the background's great. Everything looks amazing. Yeah, illustrations. The packaging, like I said, Travis Hasback. And of course, Trevor and Randy are the directors for this package. So shout out, gentlemen, for all of you getting a great Jack Kirby figure out there with his little minion. I really have no idea what the deal is with this minion, but it's definitely in that Jack Kirby aesthetic of this like weird monster guy. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk accessories first. So Jack comes with an arm cannon, and I would imagine it's there for three-tone painting. So that's just my that's my thought. But also, if you want Jack Kirby to beat him up, you've got this awesome little arm cannon here, and it doesn't have that much detail on it, but like there is some black outlining, kind of like a la Gundam figures when you get the Gundam paint lines on in there. So I really like that on here. Nothing as far as that goes on the bottom either, but it's a cool arm cannon, nice and sturdy. Our little minion guy comes with a like a pickaxe kind of weapon. Let's see if I can get that shown off a little easier here. So I'm not going to waste some time on the hands, but I'm going to be using the pencil sketch hand and the hand that holds the sketchbook here. So we also have in our accessories a very, very, very tiny pencil with a little bug on the end of it. It's got a little buggy on the end of it, right there at the back, like a little ladybug. And then, of course, we have a really cool, like, turtle sketchbook right over here that Mr. Kirby can be drawing. Has information on the front and the back. So here's the back. And it looks like Leatherhead? Or no, it's that bug. Cool. And our Ninja Turtle right there. Let's talk about next to the main event here. We've got our minion in a couple like blue, like grayish blue, and then a great like red with some awesome highlights. I love the fact that they've used, you know, he is posable. He's got joints. He doesn't have elbow articulation or knee articulation really, but his hip swivel, and his arm swivel, and so does his head. So he's like a little 5 POA. He doesn't have any chest, but he's a little 5 POA figure that just looks neat. It definitely has that bombastic Kirby's style to him. If anyone knows what this is, like the packaging doesn't say anything about it. So I feel like I'm being a bad Kirby fan by not knowing what the hell this is. But if you know, let me know in the comments below. Because awesome people let their friends know what the hell's going on. So there he is. He's a great sculpt, honestly. I love all the black lines right there around the stomach and in the face over here. I love the dark red shadowing for those horns. He looks like a damn menace. Just an absolute menace. I'm gonna move him around. He's got some spiky spikes on the back, right Right over here, those spikes are spiky. They not as bad as Toka from the Toka and Razor 2-pack. Trying to hold that thing is like, I cut myself with an X-Acto knife a little earlier in the video, and I was like, that's about the same experience, I feel like. So there he is, Kirby's minion. Like I said, I'm just going to call it a minion. Little Hellgate figure there. And then let's focus on the man, the myth, the legend himself, old Jack Kirby. Like I said, I would have loved for him to have come with his drawing board, but hey, budgets. I get that. I would rather have a drawing board than a little monster, but like not everyone's gonna want to buy a Jack Kirby figure and know what a Jack Kirby figure is. So maybe we need the monster to cross-sell. And it's honestly, if it's one of Kirby's creations, good grief, I have no problems with this at all. It comes in his classic sweater and button down, arms rolled up to get ready to like dive into some drawing. What I'm really tempted to do is do some customization on like the right arm underneath here and do like a little, basically a little black and gray underneath there to show that he's been drawing all day, because that's what he did. He drew constantly all day, hitting every deadline, hundreds of pages, over 100 issues of Fantastic Four. The first 100 issues were done by him. The only person in the modern world that comes close to that kind of output is Mark Bagley. He did the first 100 issues or so of Ultimate Spider-Man in the early 2000s. So let's turn him around. So he's got his little brown shoes and jeans, and I love that these two-tone greens that they picked for him. And he's got little lines on his face. He's smiling a little bit. Let's get well, we don't want to get in close right there. Let's get in close on the face. We'll zoom out just a little bit because it's looking a little grainy there. I'll bring him a little closer too. So there you can see, like, he's got a great face sculpt. He's looking energetic and exciting, ready to take on Doctor Doom, Bruce Banner the Hulk, everyone from the New Gods. Yeah, he created the New Gods. I mean, like, Jack Kirby did everything. So I'm going to gush. And I'm gushing over this figure because not only do I like the sculpt of how the fabric is falling, but I like that they've added these little comic lines to show some depth as well. And that's what I like about like NECA's sculpts, is that they're not afraid to put these black lines. They don't do like a cell shading, which is nice. They do these black lines to indicate that this was like something that was drawn as a comic. And I really dig those. So we've got them down the seam. We have them down the seam of the pants as well here, and just highlighting the shoes as well. And what's really kind of nice, just to end this up, is like, not only is he, does he have some great posability, but he's easy to pose. Whoop. He's absolutely easy to pose as you kind of go on and through there. You will have no problems doing these double joints. He's got double joints for elbows, and they're NECA style ones, so they have a joint up here and a joint down there. So it looks a little funky, but it works really well. Like, they don't just fold into each other like, the Marvel ones. He also looks like he's ready to punch some Nazis, and we're always a fan of that. Good old King Kirby here, ready to fight. And I think they nailed his face. Like, I just really think he looks like, it's a great figure. It's got some nice duotone up at the very top of the hair, right over here, and also it's got a nice smile to his face, but he's also looks like he's ready for action, just ready to go. We have double jointed knees as well, ready to kick somebody in the head, and then some nice swivel feet as well there. So that is our Jack Kirby figure. Oop, let's go on back out here and stand him back up. So yeah, he's ready for action, or he's ready to be drawing. Whatever is clever for the king. So Jack Kirby is responsible for creating so many magical characters. X-Men, Fantastic Four, Avengers, right? You've got the New Gods over on the DC end as well. So he's important for so many reasons, but he is just now getting his due as an artist. And it was so hard for the Kirby estate for years and years and years to get any kind of compensation for the characters he created due to predatory contracts all throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. He passed away in the mid-90s, unfortunately, so I never got the chance to meet him. That's one thing I wish I had been able to cross off my list, because he's more important to me as a cartoonist than most any other comic book artist out there. I take inspiration from his dynamic work. His way of storytelling is so energetic, so exciting. And that's really what comics should be: fun, exciting. And that's the superhero genre, right? It should pop. It should go crazy. And that's really, he's such a huge influence in that manner that I really feel like he hasn't gotten his due in the mainstream by any means. And I'm going to show, like, this example right over here is one of my favorite reasons. He was hugely influenced by Mayan art, and he brought that aesthetic into these Marvel comics. And boy, like, seeing his work in, like, the Eternals. And I'm not a big Eternals fan. Like, the movie was not that great, but his artwork is so crisp on the Eternals, and it's so dynamic and crazy and big. It's just, everything is just so big and massive. So I really wanted to, like, point out that, like, if you don't know who Kirby is, take your time, give him some reads. I would say those early X-Men comics are some of my favorite, but his Fantastic Four run has to be the torchbearer, without a doubt. 100 issues straight. You've got Galactus, Doctor Doom, the Mole Man, seconded only by John Byrne's run on that Fantastic Four. So take some time, read some Jack Kirby, educate yourself, and you're going to read comics. Like, this isn't hard work, it's awesome work. So I wanted to add a little addendum to this, and this being toy art. I really wanted to speak about Jack Kirby being the inspiration for this channel as a whole. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be making comics. I wouldn't be drawing illustration, doing storyboarding for animated shows. So if you've never seen my art, it's zachkinsella.com. I'll have a link in the description below. But I really wanted to just nail down that this channel is inspired by art and design, and it is what I talk about more than anything else. And this is the video that epitomizes that. That really puts the actual art to toy art. When we have a literal great artist being personified in plastic, that's the toy art I'm in love with. So I just wanted to say that and end the video there. So for toy art, my name is Zach. Please hit like, subscribe, give me a comment, tell me your favorite Jack Kirby comic or art piece of artwork, and we'll see you next time.